It took us a long time to put together the approve request function, so I think that we would be well served to quickly test it out inside of our Remix editor. I'm going to pull open the right-hand side nav bar. I'm going to make sure I've got run selected, and I'm going to make sure that I also am using the JavaScript VM environment. I'll then make sure that I delete any existing instances of the contract that I've already deployed down here towards the bottom. And after doing that, I'll then set a minimum contribution. In this case, I'm going to use simply 0 minimum because I don't really care to test the minimum contribution right now. And I'll click on create. So here's the new instance of our campaign contract. Now back up at the top, we need to make sure that we do some initial donation or contribution to our campaign so we get marked as an approver. I'm going to donate, how about like, I don't know, well, let's just donate, how about 1 ether? That's totally appropriate. So I'll set the drop down to 1, or to ether, excuse me, and I'll enter a value of 1. And then back down on the contract, I will contribute. In the console down here, I should see a transaction appear, and I should definitely not see an error message or anything like that. So now we can attempt to create a request and then attempt to approve the request as well. To create a request, we have to get first an address of where we want to send some money to. So to get another address, I'll go back up towards the top. I'll find the account dropdown. I'm going to select the second account on the list and copy the address. So I just copied it like so. Then I will toggle back to my manager account because remember, only the manager can create a new request. All right, so now we can go ahead and create the new request. Here's the button, and we have to enter in a couple of different arguments. So we need a description, a value, and a recipient. For a description, I'll say buy batteries. Make sure you place that inside of a string. For the value, right now we have not really specified whether this is ether or whey or what. So I'll just put in some numbers here. And then finally, for the address, I'll put my quotes down and paste the address in. And make sure you wrap that address in quotes. Now I should be able to click Create Request and see that new request created, excuse me. I should be able to also retrieve that request out of our array of requests. So if I enter in a 0 and click the button, I should see a description, the value, the address recipient. It should be marked as false, not completed. And then the approval count, should start off as 0. Notice that we did not get back any information here for a mapping. So really, there's no way to retrieve and try to return an entire mapping. Remember, we cannot iterate through the keys or the values of a mapping. It is solely a lookup object. So even though we can use it to store many records, we can't use it to, say, iterate or return many records. The next thing I want to do is to attempt to approve that request. So I want to approve that one, and then we should be able to verify that approval count goes up by 0. So if I scroll back down to approve request right here, I want to approve the request at index 0. So I'm going to enter in a 0, and then I will click on approve request. Okay, so that looks good right there. Now if I try to retrieve the request at 0 again, oops, let me get some more space so I can actually, you see I put in 2 zeros, I just can't really see the text when I'm so zoomed in. So I'm going to get the request at 0, and you'll notice that now I've got an approval count of 1. So that is definitely working out. We are definitely now able to endorse or approve a request. However, if I try to approve that request a second time, so this will be the second time I try to approve it, which we definitely do not want to allow. I'm going to clear out my console here really quickly, and if I click on approve request again, I will see a nice big error message. And this error message is coming from our require statements right here. In particular, this one is probably coming from the second require statement that says, hey, you've already voted on this thing, you cannot vote a second time. We can also very quickly test the earlier require statement, or the first one on here, if we change to a different account, so any other account inside this list, which is not marked as a contributor, and then try to call approve request again with an argument of 0. So I'll clear out the log here really quickly, click on approve request, and again, you'll see a nice big error message. And this one is coming because I have not yet donated to this campaign. All right, so that's awesome. I think that we're making great progress here. but we still have a little bit of work to do. We have to make sure that after a request has been created, let's see, where's our diagram? Here we go. So after we've created a request and it's gotten enough approvals, we have to finalize it. So we have to make sure that the manager has the ability to actually process the request and get the money from it distributed to the recipient. So let's start taking care of that in the next video.